Hi and welcome along to Transfer Daily Extra. This is the show where we break down a player. James goes deep into that player and why we need him and how he'll fit. Now, the biggest rumour of this summer of a player being linked to Arsenal is Gabriel Jesus of Manchester City. He seems to be target number one. We all know that we need a striker since Aubameyang left, since Lacazette left, and this guy, Gabriel Jesus, seems to be the number one target for Arsenal. And James, I know you're here to break him down because even though we've seen him playing in the Premier League, it hasn't always been as a out-and-out striker.
Yeah.
And funny enough, was talking about this the other day, and it's me and a mate, and we was all going, I was going, yeah, man, we need Jesus because we need a striker on it. And he goes, Robbie, hold on, wait a minute. How comes last season, Man City said they're playing without a striker? And now he's a striker.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that's true. But now he's a striker. So I wanted you to sort of break down how would he fit into the Arsenal team if we were able to sign him?
This, is he a striker, is he not? Do you get Jesus and then maybe sign another number 9? That's been a lot of the talking points around Gabriel Jesus. I don't think anyone is actually questioning his quality and that he can bring something to Arsenal and would undoubtedly start as our out-and-out number 9. But the question is that his best position? And when Arsenal are looking at other players, we've been linked with other strikers, Scamacca or maybe loosely Osimhen or even wide players like Rafinha. And in strengthening that forward line, the question is, well, do you add another striker to help Jesus? Or do you add another wide forward because Jesus is going to lead the line and we've seen Nketiah's been given the new deal. So that's going to be a lot of what this first section of the show is going to revolve around. Let's start with his player profile though. We've got it here. He's 26 years old, stands at 5'9". He's right-footed. I've put 26 there. He might be 25. He's 26. He's around that. He's right-footed. And the fee is looking around 50 million pounds. That's sort of what they're saying it's going to take to get him from Manchester City. And of course,
it's a lot of money when you talk about a player that's in the last year of his contract. But how this thing works is supply and demand.
Yeah.
And, there's not a lot of strikers out there and they know the demand. They know we're desperate. So.
Yeah. And there are potentially other clubs in. He's been linked with Real Madrid, he's been linked with Chelsea, he's been linked with Tottenham. So you're right, absolutely, supply and demand is playing a part in this. With a year left, perhaps a little bit more than you'd expect, but is he as a player, forget the 1 year left, is he worth 45 million? I'd say he's probably worth a little bit more than that. So I think for what Arsenal are looking like they're going to have to spend on him, I think the deal makes a lot of sense. Let's go into his player profile at Manchester City, 236 appearances, 95 goals in that time, 46 assists. I've put main position striker because I think that's what he sees himself as. We'll explore that in a sec. His secondary position has been as a sort of a right winger, playing on the right of a front three, and how that's looked for Man City is something I want to discuss in a sec. But quite literally today, on the day of filming, I was watching Sky Sports and Tim Vickery, expert on South American football, was there, and these are his quotes to Sky Sports. He said, I had a chat with Brazil's coach who said after the World Cup he called Jesus over and he said, where do you want to play? Jesus said, I don't mind. The coach said, clearly you do mind. Clearly you have a preference. Tell me where it is you want to play. We move along. And he said a little bit sheepishly, I'd rather go wide. And I said, let me start that again. And he said a little bit sheepishly, I'd rather go wide. And since then, Brazil haven't really used him as a centre forward. There's been a sense that he's been running away from that centre forward position and perhaps running away with the comparisons with Aguero as well. So what are Arsenal buying? This needs to be very clear if they want to go ahead with this deal. Now, this is someone who knows what they're talking about and obviously been following Jesus very closely for Brazil as well as Manchester City. And I think it raised a really interesting point because if we take it to the tactical pad here and look at how he's played really for Manchester City across this season, he has played more on the right-hand side. Now, towards the end of the season, I think he got more minutes up front, scored the goal against Real Madrid, playing as a striker. And that was a good goal, back to goal, a little bit of skill, fantastic finish. But we've often seen this run made from him, where Rodri feeds into Walker. He's played that ball in behind. Jesus loves to make that out-to-in run, typical of Guardiola's football. And then I've got Foden, it could be Sterling. They mix and match all the time. And it kind of, with that being his last season in Premier League football, he's played really well. You just wonder whether that's an option Arteta might explore, or maybe not even just explore, but actually use a lot more regularly.
Yeah, but so playing him as on the right hand side, but we already got Saka there. and we're being linked with Rafinha, right? So if Rafinha came in, that's where he plays.
Yep.
Pepe plays there. So surely, if we are buying him, it is going to be in play right down the middle as a centre forward.
Yeah, I think Arteta, for everything we've just said and the doubts that were mentioned there by Tim Vicker of Sky Sports, listen, I think he's a versatile player, and I don't think that should be looked as a bad thing. Cooley's played a lot on the right for Manchester City. That's how it's worked for them. For us, it might work differently, and absolutely, we've got much more of a problem when it comes to scoring goals, so you want your best finishers in that number 9 position. Taking it back to the tactical pad, let's get it up here. This is where I think he's likely to feature for Arsenal, and there's a reason why, some numbers that might back up why I think he could succeed in this role. So we've got him up here, up front. Now, as we saw with Lacazette, so often dropping into midfield. I mean, how many times do we hear fans complain about how deep Lacazette was playing? But it was completely by design. We've seen, especially in the last 10 years, the new false 9, being used, really for most big clubs. I can think of maybe only Bayern Munich with Lewandowski, who haven't really gone for that out-and-out sort of false 9 who drops into midfield all the time. Jesus would have to come into these areas because Arsenal so often love to feed the ball into the striker. The amount of times that Lacazette would have to pin the centre forward down and receive that ball into feet, use his strength, often try and spin and be a feeder, be a supplier. But you've got to have strength to do it. The centre-backs will come close. They will make it difficult for you. It is congested areas, especially when teams play with the midfield 3. So you've got to have really good close control. You've got to be strong. You've got to be quick. You've got to be able to carry the ball. And Jesus has shown that at Manchester City. We look at the equaliser Phil Foden got at Anfield. Yes, he was playing out on the right, but he had his sort of kind of back to goal, but he's able to turn, spin, and drive into space and feed Phil Foden. And then we saw it at the Emirates Stadium as well when Gabriel got sent off for coming into the back of Jesus. They're happy to feed that ball into him. So you've got to have that ability to be strong, drop into these pockets, and I think he'll be doing it quite often. We know Odegaard likes to come wide. We know Saka wants to run in beyond. Again, these spaces that I've highlighted in yellow are going to be really, really key, and you need a player who can fit into those areas quite comfortably. So, do the numbers suggest he can? Let's have a little look. Well, his percentile ranking in the Premier League for this season, expected assist, right, so for anyone who doesn't understand what I mean by percentile ranking, consider him in the top 4% of strikers who do this in the Premier League in the last season. So he ranks really highly. The closest you are to 100, the better. So he ranks really highly for expected assists. He ranks really highly for pass completion. Now, this is an interesting one. Progressive passes received. This is what I was saying about Lacazette, that, being strong, the ball's coming into your feet. We like to play with our striker who can drop into those pockets. That's going to be important.
Doesn't rank very highly in that, though, does he?
It's not bad. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad. And I think 70 plus, cool. Goal creating actions, 99. I mean, he's in the 90s for a lot of these things, which is outstanding. Defensive, I mean, obviously it helps. Goal creating actions that you're playing for a club like Man City. That obviously helps. Defensive goal creating actions, though, 96. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about him, how good he is on the press, how good his positioning is, and how he sets the tone for Man City. I think Guardiola called him the best pressing striker in the world. That kind of stat would back that up. Tackles in the attacking third in the 94th percentile and successful dribbles in the 91st percentile. I've got these numbers on FBref. Go check out some of the others. So really interesting when you look at that. And when you compare some of these to Alex Lacazette, obviously he was we had Nketiah towards the end, we had Aubameyang at the start. But again, you compare some of these numbers per game, some of the key stats. His pass completion is up on Lacazette. His pressured passes. Now, what I mean by pressured passes, remember I said centre-backs coming into midfield, congested areas. Is are you completing your passes when you got that level of pressure on you? Lacazette was actually quite good at it. Jesus' numbers were better. Goal creating actions, again, almost double. Successful dribbles, much, much, much better. He's much more of a ball carrier. And again, tackles in the attacking third. Something Lacazette did quite well in. Jesus, again, a little bit better.
And then you add into the fact that he's younger, fitter, quicker. That all bodes well. It
all absolutely bodes well. And I think what's interesting about this, because how many discussions have we had, me and you, about what do Arsenal need? Do they need that 30-goal a season striker? Because he's not the best finisher. That's one thing that I think goes against Jesus sometimes. He's a decent header of the ball. He's scored some good goals with his head, but he's not that kind of powerhouse in the box. He's not going to win header after header. And he has sometimes been a little bit loose with his finishing. But I think this is addressed in the fact that I think Arteta is trying to add goals across the team. And the best way I can illustrate that is here again on the tactical pad. I've got here Arsenal's potential midfield and forward options and their best ever league tallies. So we know Partey's in. We know Odegaard, Vieira's close. We've got Saka. Hopefully we had Tielemans, Xhaka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Jesus and Nketiah. But if you look at sort of the goal tallies, Partey's best ever league campaign was 4 goals for Atletico Madrid. I've dropped my pen. 4 goals for Atletico Madrid. He managed 2 last season from set pieces for Arsenal. Odegaard managed 7 for Arsenal. Vieira managed 6 last season. Saka 11. Smith Rowe, Martinelli with 6 as well. If you had Jesus' best campaign, which was 14 a couple seasons back for Manchester City, Nketiah's 5, but you've got to think that Nketiah wasn't really getting the opportunities. Tielemans got 6 last season and 6 the season before, so he's regularly, popping up with quite a few goals. Xhaka's managed 4. You're getting a total of 73 goals just from your front 6 alone. And for context, Arsenal last season only managed 61 league goals in total. Look at Tottenham with 69, Chelsea 76 and above. We're miles off when it comes to scoring goals.
Yep.
I think Arteta's trying to address our goal-scoring issues by adding them across the team. I don't think he's thinking, I need my Harry Kane or I need my Mo Salah. I think he's following much more the Man City model of goals across the pitch, which is why players like Tielemans and Vieira have been linked and targeted. Looks like Vieira's going to come in. You add Gabriel's goals that he has from the back at set pieces. You add the fact that we are looking for a wide forward like Rafinha. I think he's looking to spread them out across the pitch, personally.
Yep, and I do though think that Jesus, what the fans are going to be looking for is a striker that has scored 20 goals a season.
There.
We haven't got that. We haven't had that since Aubameyang, right? And even when Aubameyang did it, he was the only one scoring goals. Then there was no contributions really from anybody else. So what I want to see is the contributions, like you said, from all over, but strikers, Jesus, 20, Nketiah, 15 at least,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I understand.
That's what, we haven't had that at all. And as I said, when we have had a striker that scored goals, it's just been him in isolation. And that's what I'd love to see from Jesus.
Do you think Jesus, if he were the starting number 9, could get those 20 goals?
I think Jesus, if he's a starting number 9, can get 20 goals in the
league
season. I do believe that. If he's the starting number 9, if he's the focal point, if he's that guy, go to him. I think if he stays fit, I think he can do that.
I think he can if Saka, Odegaard, Vieira, Xhaka, Tielemans, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, if they're doing their thing.
Yeah.
If Arsenal are firing, we've had games where we're on a roll, we look brilliant, we feel like we can score, we create chances. We've also had games where we can be very dull, very cumbersome, very boring, very slow. And if Arsenal getting too many of those lulls, Jesus is going to struggle like any striker.
Yeah.
But if Arsenal can hit the ground running this season, he clearly wants to add creativity and goals in midfield, Arteta, and you've got players who can make things happen there. If it clicks, I think Jesus will be a real success.
Yeah, well, we need him to be a success if we get him. I personally still think that it's a strong chance that we can get him. And I can't say that I've spoken to an Arsenal fan that's not been against the signing of Jesus. I think a lot of them recognise that he can be better than even what he's been at City because he'll play more. He'll get more of a chance. And I think he'd be quite an exciting signing. Brazil international, be chomping at the bit to do well. We've got the World Cup coming up this year. He's going to want to show what he's got. He's got a lot to prove. Remember when they bought him at Man City, they were talking about him being the guy to replace Aguero.
Yep.
So
4-time Premier League champion.
Yep.
That's, we talk about experience and we mentioned sort of 28, 29-year-olds or whatever, but at 25, 26.
Yeah, you're bringing in a winner.
Titles, yeah.
You're bringing in a winner, and we need winners in the team. So. Yeah, great analysis, James. What do you guys think? Do you think this would be a fantastic signing for Arsenal? Where would he fit? Would love to hear from you. Personally, I would, I'm being greedy here. I'd still love to see another striker, bit different, big, good in the air.
Focal point.
But focal point. I'm not sure if Jesus is that, but he is a focal point in another kind of way.
Sure.
So thank you very much, James. And also, don't forget, to check out the Claude Cup, which is coming up on Sunday, the 26th of June. If you want more details of that, click the link in the description. You can also donate if you're unable to make it. If you are able to make it, all the money raised is going to be going to the Guna Claude Trust. If you can't make it, you can still donate by going to the GoFundMe page. Thanks for watching this video, James. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe here to AFTV for more of this great content. Also, don't miss a transfer. If you want to find out about any updates to do with transfers, make sure you subscribe and get your notification. Like this video, and I'll see you on the next one.